There's not been too much news in terms of incoming so far, which has left a lot of fans frustrated. However, Rangers have just announced a big deal has been confirmed. We will discuss this in today's video, whilst going over all the latest Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video. As always, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. But first, Philippe Clement has backed Jefte to take his career to the next level and play for a major club on the continent once he makes the move from Rangers. But the Ibrox boss insists the left-back is in the right place at the right time to nurture his progression on and off the field amid interest from the continent. RFC News revealed this week that Chelsea were keeping tabs on Jefte ahead of a possible approach for his services at the end of the season. It is understood that Chelsea have held preliminary discussions with Jefte's representatives, but no bids have been received for the defender at this stage. Jefte signed a long-term contract at Ibrox when he completed his switch from Fluminense last summer following a successful loan with APOL. Rangers will demand a significant fee for Jefte should clubs look to tempt him from Glasgow in the coming seasons. A multi-million-pound profit on the 21-year-old would be a resounding success for Rangers and the transfer model that Clement and Niels Koppen are overseeing. And the Belgian is confident he will know when the right moment has arrived for a deal to be done that suits all parties. 100% sure, yes, Clement said when asked if Jefte was in the right place for his career progression. So I know that kind of clubs. I had some players going there, or similar clubs. Maybe one day, if he makes a normal evolution, what he's been doing now, I think one day he will be ready for that. But for the moment, it's too early, and I think this is a really good place for him to develop. So he's totally not busy with all these rumors, totally not. That balance of keeping players and selling them at the right time is not something new. I had the same in Genk. Trossard could have left also earlier in Genk to go to the Premier League. We had talks with him about that, about staying. Also other players like Sander Berge. So it's important to do the right step at the right moment, because you see also a lot of players making a step higher and not being ready. And they're losing themselves because they're not playing afterward, because they were not ready. So it was the same in Bruges with players. It was the same in Monaco with players. So it's not something new, so I have experience around it. I've been speaking with players around that also. And I understand one moment when it's a good situation for the club and the player. And it's not the nicest thing as a manager, but you need to let them go also. And you need to be proud of them that they can make that step. So we will work in the same way at Rangers in a similar way that we did before. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments.
In some huge Rangers news,
Philippe Clement has added to Rangers coaching staff with the appointment of Issame Karai as assistant manager. As reported on Wednesday, Karai has become the new second-in-command at Ibrox following the departure of Andries Olderink. Clement has now moved to fill the position as Karai comes on board alongside Stefan van der Heijden, Alex Ray, Brian Gilmore and Colin Stewart, the goalkeeping coach. Clement refused to be drawn on the issue when asked about it at his press conference on Wednesday afternoon, but Rangers have now confirmed the deal. A statement read, "Rangers can today announce the appointment of Issame Karai as men's first team assistant manager." Experienced coach Karai joins Rangers from League One side Strasbourg, having previously worked in the Belgian Pro League as an assistant manager and as manager of Morocco's under-23 team, where he led them to the under-23 African Cup of Nations title. His appointment comes as Rangers confirms the departure of men's first-team assistant manager Andries Olderink for personal reasons. Olderink joined Rangers in the summer, but now leaves Ibrox to return to the Netherlands due to a family situation. Everyone at Rangers wishes Andries well for his future and asks his privacy is respected at this time. Karai turned out for the likes of KV Mechelen and Sint-Truidense as a forward in his playing days. He has held a number of assistant manager roles in Belgium and also been in charge of the Morocco under-23 squad. The 42-year-old will now look to help Clement's side in the second half of the campaign. Rangers are a distant second in the Premiership, but still have the Scottish Cup to play for domestically this term. The visit of Union Saint-Gilloise on Thursday is their final fixture in the Europa League as Rangers look to secure a lofty finish ahead of the draw for the next round on Thursday. "Yeah, it's a tough team to beat," Clement said of the challenge of facing the Belgians. "It's a very physical team. They play on the front foot. They play always with two strikers, one very creative guy in behind. They play with wing-backs who are very offensive. They're very fast in transitions, really good on set pieces. They are very direct in their play also, but they can keep also the ball into the midfield. So there are a lot of good qualities there. What they've improved in Europe also, they struggled in the beginning of the season, new coach, a lot of new players, so I don't know how the situation is now, but they were associated with Brighton also in their recruitment. The last couple of years they found a lot of players with a low budget, but who were afterwards really good. They sold a lot of players like Boniface. I read this week he can go for 60 million to Saudi Arabia. Undav also, strikers like that. Now again, every year they sell these players and they find new ones again. Now again, they have very good attacking players and a very robust defense and midfield hard-working team, so it's a very hard team to beat. In other news, Jack Butland returned to the Theatre of Dreams knowing he had the chance to make himself a Rangers hero. The keeper was cast as the villain as a nightmare moment overshadowed the occasion and cost Philippe Clement's side a result. Butland is old enough and wise enough to know the score, especially at a club like Rangers. The stops he made in the first half to keep Rangers level with Manchester United do not even register in the consciousness of the support now. A week on, his blunder is as unfathomable now as it was then. Butland showed his quality and his class before and after the howler that gifted the hosts a second half lead. Had it not been for him, the game could have been long gone before Cyril Deza thought he had earned Rangers a point. Ultimately, a Bruno Fernandes strike with seconds to spare added salt to the wounds as Butland reflected on the wayward punch that saw him divert a cross into his own net. The former England international took heart from many aspects of his performance on his return to Old Trafford. He took comfort from knowing that he tried to do the right thing by coming to connect with the ball inside a congested penalty area. In the end, he had to take the stick too. Listen, you're always going to get that, Butland said. The life of a keeper is a very unforgiving one. I came away from that game at Old Trafford, one of those where you look back on it and you just think you didn't really put much of a foot wrong. You make a lot of saves. I look back on all of it. From a set play perspective, they're a handful. It caused us all problems that we dealt with pretty well, all in all. Like I say, you make your saves, you look back on your distribution, the passes I made, and the decisions I made, positions I took up. But the life of a keeper, it takes one moment and you're the villain immediately. The biggest thing from those games is to look back at it, take from it the facts, take from the realities, and for large parts, if not the majority of it, didn't put a foot wrong. You sort of come away shaking your head in disbelief at times, but being a goalkeeper is like that. There's maximum punishment. Butland has been around long enough to understand the position between the sticks, in every sense. He was so often the saviour for Rangers last season, but the howler against United was the most high-profile mistake of a term that has seen errors creep into his game. He did not return to Manchester with a point to prove after a stint as a reserve 2 terms ago saw him fail to make an appearance for his boyhood club. He left with feelings of what might have been. As ever, he will look to emerge stronger for the experience. Just as you get older, as you mature, Butland said when asked about the learning process as a goalie. As you're a young keeper, you think you're never going to make a mistake. You think it's the end of the world when you do. The reality is there's not a goalkeeper, there's not a player alive, a person alive that's never made a mistake before. They happen. What you do have to think about is how they happen, why they happen, and if there's any reasons for that. If those things happen while you're trying to do the right things, while you're trying to be positive, and while you feel like you've made the right decision, then you just have to take it on the chin and just move on. Because even a game after, even within a game itself, there's things that you have to do, and that's what I told myself in that moment. The goal goes in, you're in disbelief in that moment, but there was still however long left on the clock, and you always know there's an opportunity for your team to get back in it, but you might be called upon again, and you've got to do the next thing right. I look back on it as something I actually felt like I did after that. Like I said, that's the life of being a goalkeeper. You can be the hero, the villain, or you can be both in the same game, and that's just the reality of it. The Battle of Britain time marked Butland's return to the team after 4 weeks on the sidelines. A leg injury saw him hospitalised on the eve of the Old Firm win earlier this month, and he missed a handful of matches while Liam Kelly deputised and took the gloves. What do you make of Jack's comments? The frustration at missing important fixtures was offset by the joy of welcoming a new baby into his family over the festive period. To then come back and make a mistake leading to a goal in a huge game. It must be hard for him. Let us know your thoughts down below. But that is all for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel for more Rangers content. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.